agree on the urgency needed for this ULEZ. I will let you go first and spell out why you think this is necessary.
Well, the fact is that the car pollution affects people's health in London. Poor people in London are 7 times more likely to suffer from lung diseases than non-poor people. The 4,000 people are dying from premature pollution diseases, according to the NHS. And the magnificent thing about ULEZ is its impact positively on Londoners. It means 1 million less admissions to hospital by 2050. It means 300,000 less people will be disabled. Surely, Beverly, you want to live in London with 300,000 people not being disabled. Surely that's a fantastic prize to aim for.
Well, 2001 to 2021, according to the ONS, there was 1 death caused directly by car emissions. And what I worry about when you talk about...
Excuse me, Beverly. That's a hilarious fact.
No, that's the ONS. That's the ONS fact. That is a fact. The other thing I would just say about poor lung disease...
that 4,000 people have died prematurely every year in London. And the one person that you're referring to is that there was only one inquiry where for Deborah Kiss's daughter, where the coroner found it was definitely car pollution killed them. However, the Imperial University and the NHS say very, very clearly that particulate pollution from cars is damaging lungs and killing people in London.
You know what also kills people? Poverty. We agree on that. We agree on that. Poverty kills more people than car fumes. And by introducing this ULEZ scheme so that people can't get to work, they can't drive their vans, they can't get their kids to school and then get onto the job that they want to do, that is going to put more people into poverty. That is going to kill more people from this apocryphal idea that we have polluted air, which is killing people.
Beverly, you're again inventing a meme. If you really care about poverty, what you would care about every year for the last 12 years, the government has raised transport fares for Londoners going to work above inflation every year, and they've reduced it for drivers and van drivers. It's gone 120 billion pounds went into car drivers' pockets with cuts in fuel duty. But in London, for public transport for people travelling in London, the fares went up every year. And the Tories who are screaming about ULEZ, which is for a tiny 200,000 drivers, have cut the free travel for 1.5 million pensioners and for 5 million public transport users. If you care about poverty, you should care about what the Tories are doing to public transport in London.
Oh, I do, Donnachadh. I do immensely. My son last night going out for a drink, 18-year-old, wanting to get the train to a few stops down the road. It was like £6 for his train. But this is the problem. It is utterly disgusting to have so many penalised measures on the motorists whilst not funding public transport, because we don't all want to cycle. My son, I don't want him to cycle to the pub in the evening and come back squiffy down the road having had a few beers. I don't want to have to get on a bicycle to get my children to netball club in the rain 4 miles down the road. The restrictions on the motorist are going to make people unwell, unfit, unhappy, mentally unwell.
You're not using any statistics that bear out facts. 95% of commuters to work in central London do not use a car.
I'm not talking about commuting.
Cars going to London. And if you do care about public transport, that you will look at that's been raised. The Tory insisted that was raised, and they have cut. They have cut again and again fuel duty for drivers. 120 billion. Can you imagine what 120 billion pounds would have done for poor people in London or for the NHS in London? Absolutely disgraceful what's been done with car drivers and the subsidy going to them.
The subsidies, have you seen the price of a tank of petrol? I mean, most people on a normal wage can barely afford to use their car at the moment. So you're going to have your dreams soon of some sort of cycling utopia where everybody just sits in their house and works on their computer and never meets human beings.
Do not use a car in central London. 95% of Londoners do not use a car in central London to work. Why are you talking about this elite that use their SUVs to get around, but not actually the people who use public transport? Why don't you care about the 1.5 million pensioners? When did you, on this programme, talk about the 1.5 million pensioners who now have to pay to go and see their kids or take the kids to school because the Tory government abolished free transport in the mornings in London?
Free transport is not necessarily what works for everybody. And I'm not just talking, there's more to life than commuting. There is more to life. And this is what worries me. Whenever we have this conversation, it's like there is sort of a lack of humanity in terms of what life looks like, because people don't just want to leave their house, go to work and come home at night like some little robots getting on and off a train or getting on and off a bus, which frankly never turn up, are overpriced and are dangerous often as well. Public transport for women. This policy of clamping down on cars, it affects women much more because we are the ones who are more at risk on public transport.
You don't care about the women whose lungs are being poisoned in London. You don't care about the hundreds of thousands of women who will be disabled by your policies. Look, the wonderful thing about ULEZ is it's actually working. Half the NOx pollution for women in central London and for the pensioners women in London is down 50%.
There is no worse pollution.
Do you not care about their lungs?
The pollution is not demonstrably worse. And the other thing, you know, when you talk about lung disease in the poor, that is ridiculous to suggest that that is purely caused by engine emissions. That is going to be damp accommodation, which they can't afford to improve. It's going to be smoking. It's going to be lifestyle choices. It's going to be the kind of occupations, frankly, which are low paid and affect their health. There's a lot that we agree on, Donnachadh, but the solution to this is not to take away choice of the individual to drive their car.
There is perfectly choice. You have a choice of either using a polluting vehicle to travel to central London or not. And the mayor, you're talking about small companies. Please look at the facts. If you've got a small company or you're a sole trader, the mayor is giving you £10,000 to help you switch to vehicle. That gives you a choice. And what has happened in central London is almost a huge amount of those small companies have switched. And they now are delighted with cleaner vehicles, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, here we go. How about that we don't keep giving taxpayers money to supplement a green agenda, which is apparently we have a unanimous decision, which is the most important thing in the world. When the British public were not asked about whether we wanted to make these changes or not.
You're changing the subject, Beverly. You're changing the
subject.
No,
I'm not, because your defence is... Sadiq Khan will give you money. Sadiq Khan will give you money. That is money that we are all earning.
You complained that poor drivers in central London who are running businesses would have to pay to actually pollute in central London. And the mayor is saying, no, you don't have to do it. We'll give you a grant to help you not pollute in central London. That's a win-win. So it means
we'll give you back your own money, which frankly you should be allowed to keep more of to decide how you choose it. Donnachadh, I always like going toe-to-toe with you. I'm sure we could do this over a bottle of wine one night and find a lot that we do agree on. But thank you so much, Donnachadh McCarthy, climate columnist for The Independent, and someone who, you know, we need people like that, don't we, trying to change the dial, but similarly, we need those who are going to push back.